Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Breakfast with the Deacons. You want to know why we're on at 8 and not at 7? Because we know that you all are late risers. We decided to run the show because everybody is on holidays. We're going to have Breakfast with Deacons this morning at 8 o'clock. Uncle Derek is telling a lie. We had a couple glitches, but we got it all sorted out. And so your favorite morning show is on at 8 and not at 7 this morning. So hear what? Kick back, grab your cup of coffee, or your cup of tea, or your cup of chocolate. Now I'm a cocoa man, partner. And sit back for our incredible show. This morning, I have Lorraine with me this morning. Lorraine, from the family life. You're on the #1 breakfast show in the morning, eh? I just want to let you know that, eh?
Thank you. You really made me work for the show, though. Just let you all know that.
I had a toting table, bringing up bread, all kind of thing. I said, hey, it's Breakfast with Deacons. This is not a late night show. You know what I mean? It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, God, you're
It's
most
a blessing.
welcome. Breakfast with Deacons. You know, we started, I don't know if you all kind of saw the show when we started, and then all of a sudden, boop, it went out. But I think Jesus wanted us in this place. I mean, look at the beautiful backdrop. You know what I mean? Real breakfast. All we're missing now is a doubles vendor, and we good to go. We should have doubles on the show. We don't get that just now. But let's start as we always do, you know, with a Papa Francis quotation that's going to lead us into what the show is all about today. We're talking a little bit about natural law, how that fits in with our whole Catholic Christian perspective. It's kind of like a takeoff from their show. But, you know, we wanted to go in more in depth with that. So let's hear. Papa Francis says this morning for this show, Papa Francis, hold on. Sorry about Argentina. I just had to tell you that. Just sorry about Argentina. We bleeding, right? Don't worry about it. Messi will be back. These days, there is a lot of poverty in the world. Just look around. And that's a scandal. It is a scandal, especially for Trinidad and Tobago, when we have so many riches and resources to give everyone. We all have to think about how we can become a little poorer. Now, that is what you're calling about being a steward. How can we become a little poorer? He's asking us to give out of our very blessings. Who gave us all these blessings as Trinis? Who gave us all these blessings as his children of the world? And I'm not just talking only about Trinidad and Tobago, because this show goes out to the whole world. God has given us these blessings, and he asks us to share these blessings, to give back. Oh, goodness. I mean, you know, everybody in my family tell me I'm a hoarder. You know, it's true, you know. I am a hoarder, you know. And I think that all of us have become hoarders because we just want, you know, that security, you know, by building up the grain in your barn, you know, but you don't know.
You really have no clue.
You know, don't know what will happen. Next thing you know, the locusts will bust you up, or the fire burns down the barn, or you die. And what you're going to do with it?
Definitely can't take it with you, Derek.
You can't take it with you.
Definitely.
So we're shouting out, we're listening to Papa Francis, calling and asking and challenging. Now, he's challenging us, right, to understand that as people who have been blessed by him, we need to return the blessing. And I always share this with my kids. To whom much is given, much is expected. And he is going to challenge us. What did you do with the talents that I gave you? What did you do with the blessings I gave you? How can we answer that at the end of our day when St. Peter calls us and says, Derek, Lorraine, come, I want to talk to all you. Lorraine.
Good morning, good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. I'm accustomed to being on Monday nights, every Monday, first Monday of the month.
Yeah.
So you all could tune in. Derek asked us, let me first apologize. Natasha is usually with me, so my better half is not here. So I'm doing this on my own. So we're speaking about natural law.
We're talking about natural law.
And we spoke about something called Vox Dei in the last show, the voice of God. And as you spoke about Papa Francis's quotation in terms of richness and poorness and scandal and resources, you know, I think it's important as human beings and children of God to listen to the voice of God. Because when we listen to the voice of God, you actually recognize those talents that you spoke about, and you can really share deeply from your soul and really have someone else experience the beauty of life and love that God naturally gives us as we speak of natural law. And I think it's important as individuals, not just as Catholics, I think as a human being, to really find that quiet place in you and listen to the voice of God and really be the best human and the best person that you can be. And I think if that occurs, all those other things will naturally occur.
Let's just talk about, I'm glad, we're going to talk a little bit about natural law here. And this is, to me, so practical that I don't understand how some people can't see it. Let me give you a shot here. Natural law. If you overfish the oceans, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to have fish.
True.
Right? You're not going to have fish to be able to supply. And what happens? What do? We overfish, we overhunt. We had a little 2-year ban on hunting, right? And it came out. And there were so many people that cried out, foul, how could you do this? Guess what? Uncle Derek used to hunt, okay? Yeah, right. I did, okay? And I can tell you that over the years of hunting, we saw a decrease in animal life, and especially in wild ducks, where Artie and myself, we'd go early in the morning and we'd go and hunt wild ducks. And we saw the population of ducks just totally diminish over time. And why? There was over hunting. You just not go outside there and you shoot 2-3 ducks and you say, right, this is what we're going to cook. No, you must shoot 19, 20. And if you have 100, hunters outside there or 200 hunters outside there, think about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Papa Francis also said something, He says, when we waste food, it is a sin against the poor. When we waste food, it's a sin against the poor. And natural law, we throw away so much food, supersized Cokes. So, craziness. People go into restaurants, pile up their plates with food, can't eat the food, they have to throw it away.
Very true.
You go into restaurants, it's a big thing for me, this is all about natural law, You're going to sometimes some of these restaurants and malls. I understand everybody about food and if it spoils and it poisons people, but we go into restaurants in the mall, and after 6, okay, they drop the prices, and then in half an hour, if they don't sell the food, guess what they do to the food?
Dump it.
They dump the food. Natural law, and we have so many people
in need of food.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Wearing my other hat, I do a lot of events as well. And one of the things, there's so many simple ways to really try and not be wasteful and really help each other. You have an event or you have restaurants and you have food. I remember every time we have leftover food, we go down to Independence Square, by Tamron Square there, and we start handing out. And sometimes we get buff because we don't have enough. And and people come and all they want is a piece of bread. That's all they want. And when they get more than that, they're actually grateful and joyful for receiving that. And we, as you say, take things for granted. You take your lunch to work, you eat half, you don't like it, it get cold, you throw it in the bin.
Throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
Throw it in the bin. Yeah.
And when I'm in work, I'm always telling them, no. Put it in the freezer, put it in the fridge, because we have a fridge. Put it in the fridge, eat it tomorrow, don't throw it away, Because that's what you have to do. That's really what you have to do.
You want to hear a little bit about natural law? I know people are not going to like what I'm saying, but I'm saying the truth. I work in the offshore industry, okay? So I work with supply boats, I work with anchor handling vessels and so on. And what's amazing is that you're on a boat, the cook would prepare lavish meals, and at the end of lunchtime, food is dumped. Because the same people on board the boat are saying, I don't want to eat that for dinner. So he has to go prepare now a new batch of food. Now, we don't do that in our homes because that if mommy cooks a Sunday lunch and there's a leftover, we're going to put that in the freezer, probably eat it for dinner. But we go offshore, and because there's so much abundance, we just waste. Natural law is speaking to us outside there. Don't waste God's beautiful gift to us. You know, why should we do that? You know, and now I understand the whole thing about, you know, restaurants saying that, look, suppose we give the food, sometimes we want to give the food, but suppose it goes outside there and
they
it
get
poisons.
yes.
I understand that, but there must be a better way for us to deal with this. There must be things that we can at least share if we have them in abundance.
You know, another thing, just because it's a different viewership,
Okay.
right? From my night show to
Good.
this morning show. And something, something else we want to speak to, because we deal with reality on our show. And, you know, something that really speaks to us as Natasha and I, especially with the rising crime situation. And I'm asking your advice in terms of how do you deal with it? Because I think our viewers can relate to it. Right now, with the rise in crime, most people are calling for capital punishment, right? We know, according to Catholic scriptures and Catholic teachings, that that's not the way to go, and you must forgive. But how do you tell, and how, and I believe you really need to pray for the grace, for God to give you the grace to deal with this situation, but somebody comes into my home and harms my mother, father, sisters, or family, any family member, I think, I want to use the word naturally, you're angry and you want to see the worst for that person. But we know that's not the way. How do we deal with that?
Now, to be able to deal with that, partner, it's not easy. But I think Jesus is, to me, the example. Jesus hung on the cross, and he stretched out his hands, and he said, Father, forgive them, because they really don't know what they're doing. He forgave us, and he forgives us every single time. Every single time we commit sin. Jesus is outside there willing to forgive us. He gives us another opportunity. Pope John Paul II was shot. And what did he do? He went and he visited the man who shot him and visited him in jail and prayed with him. I think that God is calling us out of that, calling us to show mercy, because we too will want to be shown mercy.
Right.
Again, I understand when people break into your home, when they commit violence. I mean, and there are horrible, you know, events that take place. What do? You who are looking on this program, what do you do if something like that has come to you? Because initially there is rage. Initially you are hurt. Your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife has been murdered, raped, or whatever it is. And there is this rage in you. My brothers and sisters looking outside there, I empathize with you all. But the only way to overcome that is to ask Almighty God to give you the grace to forgive, because violence only brings on more violence. Jesus had to stop Peter and say, no, put away your sword. Put away your sword, because he who lives by the sword will die by the sword. When we continue to perpetrate violence, because people have been violent, you know, if we think that that is the answer, then we're wrong. You know, we must look at Jesus, give us creative ways in which to reach out to these people who are committing violence, to help them. Yes, we need to get them off the streets. We need to do that, okay? Because you don't want violent people and people who might be intrinsically evil, right? To continue to live in our societies, to continue to do that. But everybody, even the man hanging on the cross, he said, we did all the things, you know, we deserve to be hanging up here.
Correct.
But he turned to Jesus and he said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. You know, and if we could give that person that opportunity to say that in jail, there's much rejoicing over one sinner, one repentant sinner.
One of the things we advocate to, and as a church, is community life and family life. And we always say no man is an island. And in circumstances like that, and not just that, you know, we explore different topics, divorce, so many different areas of divorce as well. But if you try to handle these things on your own, I think that's where you fall short.
You're right.
And that's where you really you need God, but you need God to pull people around you. And family does not necessarily mean biological family.
Right.
You know, there's plenty people, especially in your church and your communities, that you can rely on for sources of help and inspiration and strength in crises like these, you know, to really allow you to bring out the best in you and really dispel the anger and the hate that you may feel at times like this.
You know, in some parishes, you know, you have, you know, ministries
Correct.
to the widowed, to the separated, to the divorced. In our parish, we do have that. So therefore, we invite people who are walking that, and that could be a lonely road,
Yeah.
right, to come and to be part of community. And you're right, community extends beyond family.
Correct.
You know, and God calls us, we all say the our Father. That means to say all of us are brothers and sisters.
Correct.
We should be all each other's neighbor. And oh gosh, I know what it is like to grow up in a separated family. I mean, and my dad and my mom, you know, they divorced when I think I was about 16 years old, you know, and it didn't reach there when I was 16.
Right.
You know, so you're talking about having to grow up in that kind of family.
Environment.
You know, and then you look at your two parents, you know, two loving parents who loved you, you know, and they love their families. And what do? Because they have to follow the teaching of the Catholic Church. You know, they have to follow the teachings of God, you know. So what do? And you're right, it's important for us to rally around them, to love them. You know, as children, to love both father and mother and let them know, listen, you guys made mistakes, but we love you. But also the community, their own friends, they need to rally around them and help them. You know, before my dad died, I mean, even though they were divorced, they were great friends. They would go to functions together, line together, whatever it
That's
is.
nice.
But even though they just knew it was not possible, they started badly. You know what I mean? And that's how it ended up. But it couldn't mean to say that we could not love each other as friends, and that's important.
Yeah. I remember when we interviewed someone from, I think it was your parish actually, Diggle Martin Parish, Zena.
Yes.
Right. And I remember she said, because she started a group, the divorced widowed, or she's part of it.
Yeah.
And she said simple things. And I think as a Catholic community, we forget these things. She said sometimes just calling somebody and saying, hi, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
Or you see somebody and you give them a hug. You buy groceries, and I don't mean lavish groceries in excess.
Yeah.
You buy some basic items for them because coming out of a divorce, you want income less, you still have the children.
Tough.
It's very, very tough. And, you know, we tend to go to the economic and the financial side because that's life. At the end of the day, we can't go to Massey stores and say, I love God.
Yeah.
And you'll get your groceries, if you know what I mean. And I think as a Catholic community, we fall short
Big time.
in a lot of areas when it comes to community. We speak it, we preach it, but do we live it?
And that is
That's-
part of natural law. Part of
Yeah.
natural law speaks to that. Because if we don't take care of the underprivileged, if we don't take care of the poor, what is going to happen? You know, and that's why Pope Francis is saying, you know, the rich have to become poorer.
Correct.
The rich have to become poorer. We need, Jesus demands, Jesus commands that we look after the poor. The very first communities, right, coming out of the Acts of the Apostles, they shared everything in communion. And so nobody was left without. And this is the call. You know, we can expand on natural law. I mean, when we cut down the trees and the mountains and the hillsides,
environment.
guess what is going to happen? We're going to have floods.
Correct.
Right? We're not going to have the amount of water that we need to go into the underground reservoirs. When we build without even thinking about proper planning, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have so many galvanized roofs and concrete structures. Where all that water is going to go? We're not going to have drains big enough. All of this is natural law. When we don't take care of each other, what is going to happen? We're going to have a breakdown in family life. Do you get involved in your brothers or your sisters or your neighbors' marriages? When you see them fighting, do you just go over and maybe just want to share and talk to maybe your neighbor? You know things aren't going good, or you say, I see now that bacchanal, boy. You know what I mean? I'm not getting involved. When we don't get involved, guess what? When Pope Benedict says, when good men say nothing, evil exists. So we must never, say nothing. We must get involved.
There's this Facebook meme that says, oh, so you're judging me? I didn't realize God was hiring.
Wait, I never heard that one, boy.
And I find that so apt, and I posted it everywhere because it's true.
Yeah.
I think we walk around and we just, I won't say assume the worst, but we judge people, And I think when you judge people, you really put yourself and the person at a disadvantage. And I think as a Catholic community, and I want you all to understand, when I say Catholic community, that includes me, Derek, everyone in this studio, because we make the church, we build the church. And if we don't watch what we're doing and really take care of the person next to us, society will fall down and we will be in crisis. And we are, to be honest, in crisis right now.
Yeah. All the past popes spoke about, natural law. And there's natural justice. And I spoke on your show that it must be formed by a relation. Our consciences should be formed by a relationship with Christ, right? The thing is that a lot of people have not experienced Christ. So are we to judge them? No. I think we're to judge ourselves when other people don't experience Christ. In a small country of Trinidad and Tobago, 1.3 million people, right? And with so many Christians, so many people of faith living in our country, how come, and this is my question, how come there are pockets within our country who have never heard or experienced the gospel of love?
That's
I want
so sad.
you to ask yourself that question. Do you know anybody who's never heard the gospel of love? And if they don't know the gospel of love, then what can we expect of them? Other than to see what's happening right now in our country, murders every single day. They've not experienced the gospel of love. I am telling you, because if they experience the gospel of love, if they had an encounter with Christ through you and I, natural law says they would know how to love. They would not know how to love.
Yeah. You also said something on our show that I think is so beautiful. You said, with the love that is given to us, it comes, or this freedom that is given to us comes with a lot of responsibility. And as a human being, and as a Catholic, a practicing Catholic human being, we have such a responsibility that sometimes we just abdicate that responsibility. And if we really hold on and hold true to our faith and our belief in God, man, I don't know.
You're talking about faith and you're talking about belief. So I'm going to stick her here now. How come you love the Lord so much? What gave you this desire to love God and to share his love with people?
I don't know. I think I'm fortunate. One, because several factors will add to that. Of course, my family life, the environment that I grew up in, I was always very blessed to be around a certain culture. And by culture, I mean a Catholic community, right? I grew up in a very Catholic family. And I grew up, luckily for me, with 3 other siblings. And if you have siblings, you have to fight for your territory. But fighting for that territory comes with many blessings. It comes with teaching you the ability to love one another. It comes with the ability to share. It comes with plenty different spin-off effects that make you appreciate who you are and those around you. And I'm just talking, that's in the family life, right? Sorry, in the home, in the nuclear family. And then that spills out. You have your other additional, your extended family, and then your work.
Natural law.
And everything cumulatively brought me to a center of belief and faith in God. And I've had many life experiences as well. Many of you all that wouldn't know that some health issues. I'm just briefly kidney transplant patient. October will be 15 years I'm transplanted.
Wow.
And I found a place where I want to use the word forced, but at one point in my life, I recognized it's just me and God. As much as you have your parents and you have your sisters and you have all those around you that love you, it's still between you and God at the end of the day.
That kind of personal relationship.
Correct. And that's what you need to find. your relationship, your personal relationship with God. Forget everything else around you. Forget me, forget Derek.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
hard, but it's that.
Yeah.
No, but that's important.
Yeah.
It
And
must be
build.
centered on that. That must be your core that leads you out into that. No, you said something, oh gosh. Breakfast with Deacons has to be the best, you know. But listen, she talked about family life. And coming out of family life, there was that love. And because you had that beautiful grounding in family life, which Jesus Christ had, by the way, you're able then to go out, right? Because you're nourished from within, you know, and then to go out. And this is what the love between the Father and the Son, and you have the love. What's the fruit of that love is the Holy Spirit. You know, you have the love between Joseph and Mary, and therefore out of that beautiful love between Joseph and Mary, they were able to pass on to Jesus the love of his faith, the love of each other. Because where did he learn love? He would have learned love from his mother and his father, right? His earthly mother and his father. Even though he was divine, he grew in wisdom and knowledge. The scripture tells us. So he learned from Mary, because wedding feast of Cana, Mary is open, receptive to the needs of others, you know, and therefore she went to her son, look, son, you know, they ran out of wine. They ran out of wine. Are you understanding this whole beautiful teaching? They ran out of wine. There she is, understanding, look, a couple, they just got married. They ran out of drinks, you know. There's a tremendous embarrassment in that whole thing, you know. If you have a big wedding and you run out of food, you know, what kind of cheap wedding this man bring you to, but he can't even afford to bring him, you understand? And Mary understood that to save them from embarrassment, right? To be totally receptive to the needs outside. And this is what natural law calls for all of us, to be open to that, to understand the greater need and what our role is in that greater need. You know, and to reach out and to manage, be good stewards.
Yeah. Vox Dei, the voice of God.
Not the voice of the people, it's the voice of God. You know, you all had it wrong. Forget that. Whenever I hear that, I see, because many times the voice of people were the wrong voice. The voice of God is what we're talking about today.
Correct.
Now listen to me. You know, I haven't done this in a long time. We just have about a minute, 6 seconds to go on Breakfast with the Deacons. Things ran out so quickly. I am giving a shout out to all those lovely people who so here it is. Sheila Rimple from Diamond Vale, Colleen and Gail, Emeris Chung, Auntie Ruby, Patricia and Lynette Thackeray, Ingrid, Merle, Kendall, Gemma, Lucy, John Abraham, Gemma, Lucille Ali, Sister Paul Clark, Elsa McConney, Anthony Michael Whitehall, Dawn Solomon, June Maynard, Beverly Salandi, Alice Rayburn and Auntie Gemma, Dawood Mohammed, Mervyn and Shirley Johnson are shouting you all out this morning. Norma Scantlebury, Mrs. Juditha Fitzwilliam, Mother of Miss Universe, Auntie Joyce, I love you more. And everybody who looks on to Breakfast with Deacons, I can't shout out everybody today because we only have 19 seconds. But you know yourselves, Auntie Margarita, the sweetbread tastes real good. We love you. Breakfast with Deacons. Check us in every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 7:30. And we repeat again at night around 9:30. Breakfast with Deacons. Have a wonderful day. Oh God, Lorraine, it's great to have you.